Hi guys, I'm Dihua from Biker, and here are 11 things that I think every cyclist must have at home. Well, here is 9. I'll show you another 2 more later. While sourcing for the 11 items, I've in mind the type of tasks that I think cyclists can do and should do themselves at home. And that includes basic maintenance such as tuning of the derailleurs and changing of the wear and tear parts. And I want to keep the cost to the minimum, so I've chosen parts that are cheap but yet can get the job done. Let's go through the items one by one. Here is the number 1 thing that I think you should have, and that is a protection glove. In the beginning of my career, I never wear any gloves until I really hurt my hand, or the stain got so bad. So I thought I really learned it the hard way. So I want you to learn it the easier way, learn from my experience. Always wear a pair of protective gloves when you are repairing your bicycles. And here is one very good pair of gloves from 3M. It's got comfort grip. I've been using it for a couple of years right now. It is not expensive and it works very well. The next one is tire levers. Well, tire levers, I have 3 of them here, and obviously they are used to change tires. Changing tire is one of the most common thing that a cyclist would do to their bike, and here are just a few scenarios that you may need to change your tire. Number 1 is experiencing a flat tire. Number 2 is when your tires have reached their lifespan, and they are too old and you really have to change to a new set. And finally, you saw a nicer, better performance, more beautiful, more matching color tire that you want to put on your bike. Minimally, you should have 2 pieces, but it's best to have 3 because just in case that you spoil one of them while you're changing, or you lose one of them, you still have 2 to use. And do choose this type of enhanced plastic. They're harder, they are more stiff, and they are more durable, and it won't spoil your rim. And well, there are just many types, and this is one of them that is cheap and it's reliable. I've been using them, so it's really good. And this in particular costs you for about $1 a piece, or $3 to $4 for these 3 pieces. Item number 3 is a chain checker, and as the name suggests, it is for you to check on your bicycle chain. Now there are 2 numbers on this chain checker. One of them is 75, the other one is 10. 75 actually means 0.75% stretch, and 10 means a 1% stretched. And typically for chains that are 9 speed and above, if you can fit the 0.75, the end with the 0.75 marking into your chain, that means your chain is probably time to be changed because it's too stretched. And for chains that are 8 speed and below, you use the other side that has the 1% indicator. Most cyclists actually overlooked it. And why is it so important to check on your chain? Now, if your chain is too worn out and too stretched, it can actually cause other parts to be wearing out faster as well. The other parts of your drive chain, such as your cassette and the chain ring, and it also poses a danger of your chain being snapped if you use it while it's stretched too much. Well, typically chains can be worn out for about 500 kilometers all the way to 10,000 kilometers, depending on what type of chain that you use. So it's always good to have one of these at home and check on your chains once in a while. Replacing a chain is much more cost efficient than changing the cassette or the chain ring or the whole system. So prevention is always better than cure. So get one of these $2 and help yourself. Item 4 and item 5 are both related to chains. Now, since you have checked your chain and know that you might have to change it. Then next step is how, and you got to use chain tools to do the job. For this one, it is actually to open up the chain to break the link of your chain. So if your chain is not using a quick release link, then you have to use a chain tool like this to open the chain as well as to close it. But also there will be time when you are buying a new chain and you might have to remove some excess link from the new chain so that it fits onto your bike. And when that happens, you also need to use a chain breaker like this to open up and remove the excess chains. And next is a chain tool for removing and joining quick links. Now this is very handy, sort of like a plier kind of tool, and it works for all the chains that comes with a quick release link. And this costs about $7 to $8, while these they come in different sizes as well, and the one I have is about $10. Item 6 and item 7. Right, item 6 is a set of Allen key, and item 7 is a adjustable spanner. These two items are used for the various screws, bolts, and nuts on the bicycle, so adjusting them, loosening, and tightening them. So well, you may also replace this with a set of multi-tool, but personally for me, I prefer to use the bigger tools like this because they are they're easier to handle and to manipulate, and more comfortable, and to grip and to apply strength. Well, but if you must and you really prefer to use a multi-tool, then do make sure that you have all the combination of tools on this multi-tool that work on your bicycle, right? All the bolts and nuts and the sizes in specific are all offered in this multi-tool. Just make sure that. And I want to point out to you that if you use, the good thing about using a Allen keys like this is that it comes with a ball end, which is like a small little ball, but it's still has a shape of a hexagon, so you can actually tighten or loosen the screws from different angle, right? So this can be very useful when working on a bicycle, because it is just there are too many gaps or too many cracks that you want to reach, and this multi-tool may not be able to reach into those narrow spaces. I chose a set here that comes from the range of 1.5 mm all the way to 10 mm, which is actually very typical to see in a normal bicycle. And so you will see bolts on the bike that are actually as small as this. Typically a 2 mm will work on derailleurs or brakes, tuning of brakes. And well, for some brakes you also use 5 mm, as big as a 5 to 6 mm. For the bigger ones, such as the 8 mm and 10 mm, you probably use them on the headset, sometimes headset and the pedal, or even the square tapered lock nuts, right? So do choose the range that is, if you don't know, do take my guide, which is 1.5 to 10. And a set of this is actually not expensive. It cost me $9. Whereas for this adjustable spanner, typically on a bike you will see size from I think 8 mm, 9 mm, 10 mm, 14, 15, even up to 17 mm. So I've got here a one that can go all the way to 15 mm, and I think it's very sufficient for me to use. And the cost view, I think you can get from local hardware shops, or you can get for anywhere something like less than $10. For me, I didn't even spend money on this. It's such a common tool to be found at home. I have it in my toolbox. Item number 8 is a pair of pliers, and here the one I have here is a long and flat nose. And this is a good piece of tool for you to use when you are changing your brake cable and your shift cable. You can actually grip the cable end and pull them tight. And after that, you can also use this one to apply or to crimp the cable ends. And typically this one should cost you for about $5 to $6. And again, it's a very common household tool. So start looking for one in your home first before you buy another one. Item number 9 is a wrench, and it is not just a wrench, it is a special wrench. It's built for the pedal, it's built for changing your pedal, so it's a pedal wrench, and it's a extension pedal wrench, so it's long. It's a very long pedal wrench. Now, I'm sure that most of you would have experienced problem or difficulty when changing your pedals, because as you ride, your pedal will only get tighter and tighter. So when it comes to times of changing your pedal, you have a hard time trying to unscrew it. And that's when you need to use one of these tools. It is designed specifically for you to loosen your pedal with ease. With the long arm, you are able to apply the strength much more efficiently. Right, so this is when you can do it at home instead of paying $10 or $15 to a local bike shop just for a 30-second work. And I got this for $12. Item number 10 is a bicycle stand. And the reason why we have chosen this bicycle stand, a very simple one, it is not expensive and it actually is sufficient to carry out most of the simple repair work that you can do at home, such as changing of your chain, changing of your brake pad, washing your drive chain, etc. Of course, there are a lot of bigger and more sophisticated bicycle repair stands in the market, but bearing in mind that those may take up a lot more space, more expensive, you may not utilize them unless you have about 5 to 10 bikes at home and every other day you are doing bicycle repair, which I doubt you do. So I think this is pretty much sufficient. And if you have ever tried changing your chain and your bike doesn't come with a stand, you'll know how difficult it is, and this will definitely come in very handy for you. And finally, item 11 is a what? No, it's not a pump. It's a super pump. Right, so this is one of I would say the most essential item that every cyclist must have at home. Imagine riding your bike without the correct tire pressure, okay? It is going to be a very big trouble. Alright, it is very handy to have a pump at home instead of going to the bike shop or going to the petrol kiosk just to pump your tire. And I would recommend you to have one that comes with a pressure gauge, because then you know when to stop pumping or what is the correct pressure that is in your tire right now. This super pump cost me $20 and it's got loaded with a lot of good features. I already mentioned it's got this pressure gauge that's very helpful. It comes in a PSI reading as well as a BAR reading. Now, it also has a aluminum tube, which means it's going to be very lasting as compared to a plastic tube. And here's a feature that I think is convenient for cyclists, and that's a dual valve pump head. So you can pump straddle valve as well as pressure valve without needing to do any adjustment. Just remember to insert into the correct inlet and then clip it on, and you can pump to the correct pressure. And of course, a super pump, it doesn't just stop there. It is super. You see, even with this special compartment here, it gives you the pins to pump a ball and also a balloon. But for me, I'll probably replace the items inside with dust caps, like for your bicycle tube valve. So it's always good to have some spare. I will put it inside. And I recommend that you do have a big size floor pump such as this to be kept at home, well, of course, you can use your mini hand pumps that you put on your bike or you bring out, but those pumps are really too tiring to use. And this is much more convenient, much less effort. And I cannot stress how important or how useful it is to have one of these at home. Alright, so here are the 11 items that I think is essential to every cyclist in order to do basic maintenance at home. And I think they are really sufficient to cover quite a number of works at home and can save you quite a lot of time and money instead of visiting to a local bike store. Right, so, and the total amount of money I spent on all this, I don't know, but my editor will put in, so do look up maybe this corner or that, right? And if you have tools that you've been using and you think are absolutely essential, but I have missed out, do let me know. Please leave a comment in the comment box below, and so I can learn and all our viewers can learn at the same time. Thank you, I'm Tio from Wiser Biker. Bye bye.